Thanks for joining me for another cup, discussing how you can become an overnight success. So I want to talk a little more about this band that I found, Challenger Deep. It was a pretty unique experience that I haven't had in a while, but I have had before in my life. As a musician myself, what I really enjoy is finding music that I wish I had made. And that's what I found with Challenger Deep. Let me ask you, just musically, think about your favorite artists. Who do you think they listen to? That was the interesting part that I got into a discussion a little bit with some of the band members, which is who they listen to, who are their influences. And we had a pretty interesting, short discussion about that. So think about that from a work standpoint too. Think about your mentors, the people that you aspire to be like or who motivate you or bring out the best in you. Think about what they do. How do they stay on task? How do they reach their goals? How do they handle adversity and challenge? And how do they work towards their goals and success? And maybe you can adopt some of that for yourself. I also want to address the idea of overnight successes. As I mentioned in the main message, a lot of the overnight success that we see in the world today, and by the way, you might have heard or seen someone who could be considered an overnight success before, but now with social media and the constant news cycle and all the different ways that we assimilate information, there's an overnight success every day. And what that creates is this expectation that it should be that easy. What we don't see is the hard work that goes into those so-called overnight successes. And I know the impact it's had on me is that I started to become very impatient. Now, and sometimes that's a good thing. I mean, I want to get things done. But it also shies away from the fact that you have to pay your dues. You have to work through adversity and challenge and create sometimes the road that you're traveling as you travel it. As they say, the road less traveled. Sometimes you have to forge that road with a machete because no one's gone there before. An overnight success, you wouldn't do that. You would just find the quickest way to success, which isn't always the best way. Because who you become in that journey actually is what creates your success. I'm not saying that if I were a musician and wanted to get my big break, that I would want to toil and spend long hours with no result. I'm not saying that. But realize that when you put that extra time in to those difficult and challenging and maybe even in some cases seemingly useless activities, think about what you're actually doing. You're getting those done to position yourself for success. So when that opportunity crossroads comes, you know where to go. You don't have to then suddenly work hard. You've put the time in. In fact, as I watched Challenger Deep just completely entrance the audience at this venue and basically conquer the venue, I watched and saw easily all the hard work that they had put in, not only in their own musicianship, which, by the way, the performance was outstanding, but as I dig further into their music, I have great respect for their songwriting prowess, their storytelling through their music. That doesn't happen without really working hard. In fact, I'm going to guess that there's quite a bit of music that is left on the floor, the cutting room floor, if you will, that never made their album, doesn't make it into their live performances. But the stuff that did was outstanding. And again, I encourage you to check into these guys. And at the end of the main message, you'll see essentially a credits or a set list of the music that you heard in the message. But just like that, I think when we are prepared and we put the time in behind the scenes, it shows almost subconsciously to the people that we deal with, to the world. And that's what overnight success is. Sometimes how that happens. It's obvious that you've put in the time. And so then when you get a break or someone catches on to what you're doing, it's obvious that you're ready. Rather than waiting, you've been putting in the time. So think about your own expectations. If you want to be an overnight success, don't expect it. But work towards it, because in reality, those are the overnight successes that take 10 years, is because they've put the time in. I hope that you understand that your overnight success is in your hands right now. What if I told you that in a year or 2 years or 5 years, you will be the next best thing, the great overnight success, but only because of what you're doing today? That's how you then become an overnight success. Thanks for joining me for another cup discussing overnight success.